begin now. We're on page Tzadik Ches, and I see Usher here. Yes,
Just
Hillel.
before you go on, two questions about what you just said.
Yes,
I have a sefer called Kol HaTorah
that's it.
by Hillel something of Shklov. Same sefer?
No, no, I don't think so.
He was a Talmud of the Gra, and it's about Inyane de Geula. I don't know. I'm trying
Oh,
to
so maybe that is the safe. I thought it was from Menachem Kasher.
I
No,
know the name Menachem Kasher, but I don't know who he was.
he was a great Talmud Chacham who lived. I think he came from Poland. I think Eretz Yisrael, and he wrote a sefer called Torah Shleima. I think a large set of Chumashim finding sources, and he wrote. He was a big Talmud Chacham, but you're telling me that Kol HaTorah is not from him, or is there two Svarim Kol HaTorah? Whatever.
Right, that would be my question.
Okay, well,
I'll look for it.
yeah, and I'll look it up later. I'll look it up later, Blineder. Anyway, we want to welcome Usher Braun, who's a student today. I don't know how long he'll be on, but I'm glad you're here. Okay, Chevra.
I'm in Migdal.
Oh, you're Migdaleh. I was wondering. I was going to ask you, what are those windows in the background? You're in the yeshiva bacher today. It's father and son, and so it's great.
I found it. It's called the Kol HaTorah Nishma B'Artzeinu, the voice of the turtle dove, by Hillel Shklover, a relative and student of the Gaon.
Okay. Okay. Oh, the voice. Okay. Very good. Okay. Let's before we continue inside, let me give you the background of what's happening right now in this text on page Tzadik Ches. The last paragraph will begin shortly. The Rebbe is addressing the issue of nationalism. Rabbi Yoel Kahn, based on Chassidus and the Rebbe's writings, is addressing this issue, and he basically says that the idea that what makes a Jew, nationalism is kfira. Okay, and he explained why it's kfira, because a Jew begins with the neshama, and that's what makes you a Jew, not your nationality. Okay? Now, from there he went and he said that there are some groups, and he included some Mizrahi groups and even Aguda groups who say otherwise, and he's refuting their argument. What's their argument? He says that they point to a Gemara in Sanhedrin. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says, "Afal pi shechata Yisraelu." Even though a Jew sinned, he's a Jew. He's a Yehudi. How did they learn this Gemara? That even if you don't accept Torah mitzvahs, and even if you oppose Torah mitzvahs, you're still a Yehudi. So they use that Gemara to support their argument that here you see it's all about nationalism. There is Yehudi as a nation, and they use that Gemara to support their argument. So Rabbi Yoel is now going to refute this argument left and right. Okay, let's go. In other words, the question is, what establishes being a Jew? We always say, if you're born to a Jewish mother or you had a proper Jewish conversion, you're a Jew. Well, we know that, but the next step is, so if you identify with nationalism according to the philosophy of nationalism, you should become a Jew. And Rabbi Yoel said, like the Russians, you're a Russian, you live in their country, you speak their language, or the French. So the nationalism is so too with Am Yisrael. And the proof is that the Gemara says that even if he sinned, he's still a Jew. So, big deal, he sinned. And Rabbi Yoel says, and this is like a reverse psychology, because what I'm going to say now, explaining what he says, that if you don't accept Torah mitzvahs, you might technically be a Jew, but you're not really a Jew. Like, which, you always hear the Chabad says otherwise. He's not saying you're not a Jew, but he's saying that your Judaism has to be Torah mitzvahs. That's what makes you a Jew. Not just because you live in Eretz Yisrael and you speak Hebrew. That's the argument that's going on here, and that Rabbi Yoel is addressing. I just want to make sure you understand what we're about to tackle. Okay? Let's go to now the bottom of Tzadik Ches. Omno. However, Yosam Zu, this Shita's proof, this Raya, Mimaimer Razal b'Masechtas Hedrin, the Razal that they bring, the Chazal in Sanhedrin, which is Yisrael, Avo Pisha Chota Yisrael. Look at the last five words, 7 words in the last paragraph. You see She'omer Razal b'Masechtas in the last paragraph. She'omer Razal b'Masechtas Sanhedrin Yisrael. That's a quote from the Gemara. So that's what he's referring to. He says, even though they bring this raya, hiraya shel doifi, he says this is a foolish raya. In other words, they're misinterpreting the Gemara and using it for their foolishness. And he starts now a very long discussion. So that's why you have to know what this long discussion is getting at, because he's going to go away in many tangents in this discussion. But you need to remember what he's discussed. Why he's going into it is to argue the point that when the Gemara says, even though you're a sinner, even though a Jew sinned, he's a Jew, doesn't equal that your nationality is because you're born a Jew and you live in Eretz Yisrael and you accept nationalism. That's not what the Gemara means. Okay, so that's what he's out to explain now. Look further. Dehine Yedua umufursim mashakosav bahar b'svarim. He says it's known. It's written in many svarim. V'nis boyud heitiv b'sefer Tanya. It's explained well in Tanya. V'kam mekomas b'chassidus Chabad, and in many places in Chabad Chassidus. What is that? Whoever comes from the Jewish people, Yeshlei neshama kadosh as a holy neshama, nefesh elikis a godly neshama, shehi chavuka dvuka bach, which is bound and connected to Hashem, yechita liyachta, one of oneness, the only God, the only Hashem, the neshama. And even when this Yid who has this neshama will do all the sins in the world, like Lahavdil, Will Chamberlain said about himself, or the Gemara says Rebellious ben Durdaya, right? The worst of the worst sins. I mentioned this yesterday regarding with Yoni's comment about a Jew, a self-hating Jew. We know, Chassidus explains, you can do the worst Avedas, you still, if you're a Jew, you have a neshama. Top of Beit Tzadik Tes. He, this. He, haneshama halazu, this neshama, who he amachayes gufei agashmi. It sustains the person's guf, the Jew's guf, ukanal, as we said earlier. Sheitzel Yehuda, regarding a Jew, gam achayes gufei hagashmi, bepoyel, that's in bold. Even the vitality that sustains the physical body in actuality, who beikir menafshe likis. It's not coming from his nefesh abamis. It's coming from his gashmis. In other words, when you play sports, or when you're a musician, Avram, and all that, you need to know, you train and you practice, very nice. But the main chayas, what gives you the ability to play those chords and play the music and compose the music, or whatever everyone here does, the gashmius of your life, it comes by a Jew, be'etzem, from daily kiss, from the neshama. The goof, the training and the artistic talent and the medical knowledge and everything that everyone does is a keli to manifest what your neshama wants of you. So you understand that's the chiddush. In other words, until the Alter Rebbe, I'm going to say, till the Alter Rebbe, the way Yidden understood the whole discussion of a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Hara was when you do something good, your Yetzer Hara is acting. When you do something bad, it's your Yetzer Tov. You do something bad, it's your Yetzer Hara. So in other words, and when you do something neutral, it can go either way. Dal Terebbe and Tanya says, no. Everything that a Jew does is associated with the Nefesh Elokis, with the Neshama. When he does something bad, the Neshama has been trapped. The Neshama has taken siege. But it's the Neshama expressing itself through the confines at that time of the Nefesh Habamis, i.e. Yetzer Hara, and doing shtus. Yeah, Moshe, do me a favor. Yeah, thank you. Weiter. So that's what we say here. And he says, V'rak, third line on page Sadik Tes. V'rak she'etzel poshei Yisrael, when it comes to sinners, zeh behelem. It's only concealed. It's not like the argument there, you're a goy. You're a goy. You're not Jewish. Wrong. You're a liar. You are a Jew. Notice then, it's behelem. It's concealed. Okay? And even by those that are deniers, kaifrim, ze behelem legamri. In other words, there's two things, Moshe. 1 second. There's helem and there's helem legamri. You see the difference? Someone who's a posheya, a sinner himself, the godliness by him is concealed, helem. Someone that's even worse, that not only is a sinner, but denies God, that's, in other words, not, intentionally, chas v'sholem, in such a case, the concealment's even greater, called a helem legamri. Moshe, I want to finish the paragraph and then I'll give you a chance, okay? Okay, before B'Svarim Akdoshim, as this is explained in many Svarim, not only in Chassidus, V'chol Sifri HaMaral Maleim B'zeh. Rabbi Yoel says, you learn Maral, Miprag, the Maral, you'll see that this concept is full, elaborately explained in the Maral. V'ayin Netzach Yisrael, and it gives you a reference. You could look into Netzach Yisrael, that's one section of Maral, Peidekei, Divra Machskul Askuhu, Mashakosov Shom, Al Oiseh Ish. The Maral speaks there about our upcoming December 25th individual, called in Chazal, Oisei Ha'ish, that man, referring to you-know-who. So the Maral, I believe, I didn't have the Sefer and I didn't look it up, but I believe he's saying that even he was a Yid. But he was a Yid that was a Koifer. So the Helem is even greater. But no one's going to say that he wasn't a Jew. Not only wasn't, that he lost his Jewishness. He didn't lose his Jewishness. Yes, he'll need a rabbinic conversion because he went through all the tumah, just like someone who grew up Christian and discovers themselves needs to have a rabbinic conversion. That's all true. It's technicalities, important ones, and they have to be done. But don't say that he's not, he's not a Jew. Weiter. V'ayin Sefer Divrei Seferim Reb Tzodek HaKoyin, Reb Tzodek of Lublin, Zatzal, Amid 152, Divrei HaMaschil v'Amru, V'zeh L'shoinei. This is what he says there. Ki afilu Yisrael, Yonason, I can't see your face. Put up your camera, please. Ki afilu Yisrael sheheimer das, even a Yid. Heimer means rebelled. It's called the Yisrael Mumar. Even a Jew that rebelled against his religion, v'higdil avedas zula ma'ilem zul, and he did such avedas, one greater than the other, afal pi shechata, even though he did these terrible things. Yisrael, the Reb Tzadok HaKoyin, who wasn't a chassid and wasn't a Lubavitcher, he says he's a Yid. V'ayin sham oid. Rabbi Yoel puts in bold. Look over there, you'll see a lot more about this. Another reference, V'gam Tshuvas HaRashba, the response of the Rashba, Hanal, Koi al-Meshumat. The Tshuvas HaRashba that was mentioned earlier in the letter here, the Rabbi Yoel says that's referring to a Meshumat, someone who was converted to Christianity. The Nikra Bonim Lamokim. He's still called children to God. He converted, a Meshumat, And there's very much this halachas that follow, that instruct us what a meshumad can do and not do. Nevertheless, they're still called Bonim Lamokim because they never lost their Jewishness. First, I have to take Moshe and then Hillel. Moshe.
Thanks. You know what? I think some of my questions were answered that I originally wanted to ask, but I'm going to ask another question. This is, for me, I've actually never. I've heard about the things that the Rav Yoel is just speaking about, but I've never seen them to this degree. And I'm just curious, this is just a side question, where would one find these halachas regarding a person a Jew that converted, but, you know, these are very...
I believe you begin in the Rambam. I believe you begin in, there's laws, there's you know, again, is it all systemized in one area? No, but the Rambam speaks about a year. Well, you go back to the Gemara. Let me start. There's Gemaras. And from the Gemara, the Rambam codifies it. Then, but he's quoting here 3 Svarim that are, you know, the Reb Tzadok of Lublin and the Chuvas HaRashba and the Maharal. So you're talking about later, but but they, like you say, they base it on the Gemara and on the Rambam. But I would say that there's a lot in the Rambam. Hillel.
A similar kind of question. Did you? I didn't understand what you meant when you said that also Ish, he would have to go through a rabbinic conversion.
No.
Because he was.
I put them together, but I didn't. That's not what I meant to say. I meant to.
Okay.
Or maybe I did say it. Yes. Yes. Someone who converts needs a rabbinic conversion. Yes.
So wait a second. Somebody who converts, somebody who's a Jew, born a Jew, who converts to another religion.
A religion that is against that is avodah zarah.
Okay.
Not Muslim.
Okay, so
not Muslim. Like I'm not sure. I don't think it applies to becoming a Muslim.
Okay. So if they convert to another religion that's in avodah, they convert to an avodah zarah.
Yeah.
If they then want to do tshuva,
yes,
they have to do what?
They have to go to a bezdin, and the bezdin will ask them to go to the mikveh and do hatofas dam bris, I believe.
Oh yeah, they have to have a new bris.
Not a new full bris.
They have to have a bris again. Like a new covenant.
Yes, a drop of they will draw a drop of blood, not a new bris. Yeah, I know this, that someone in Seattle years ago, I saw a letter from the Rebbe. And the Rebbe, the Shliach, I guess, had written to the Rebbe about the Shuvah, and it came to Chabad house and all that, his shul, and the situation was that he was involved with Christianity and other religions before. So the Rebbe wrote, he's a Yisrael Mummer, he's a Yid that has rebelled, and therefore he's a Yid, but nevertheless he needs to have a rabbinic conversion and go to the Rabbanim to facilitate it.
Okay, I wasn't familiar with that halacha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But over there, second paragraph, who move in Gamba Seichel. Rabbi Yoel says, I've cited for you, he says, 3 sources in halacha, kind of. Let me tell you that this is also, it's understood intellectually. Okay, that's Rabbi Yoel's strength, is he takes everything and he brings it down to Seichel. Let's see how he argues this point. I'll be Seichel. Yesterday we learned that it's brought down in Sfarim that Yidden, Jews, are sug, is in bold. You see, Hillel sug, they're of a different category. It's not just a different type of degree. It's not a matter of degree, it's a matter of a different category from all other humans. And this is brought down in the Rishonim. So since this is the case, Uvadugmas ahevdel, and it's similar to the difference between suga medaber with suga chai, between the human species and the living species. He says that even though I'm bringing you an example, it's much more than the example. The moral is much more than the example, right? In other words, you can't compare the living species to the human species. The human species is of a different category completely than the living species. How do you push it? It is simple. The Kamoisha Kol Mishu Mizera Odom Marishan. It's a self-understood that anyone that comes, that's the offspring of Adam, of first man, Yishar Elohim Besuk HaMetapen, he will always remain a human being. V'lo yehepech b'shum leifin l'sug achai. He will never become an animal. Even Nebuchadnezzar over there in Tanakh, right? When he's punished for doing what he did, and it says he walked on his four and he looked like an animal. He looked like an animal. And according to Kabbalistic writings, he at that time got the dibuk of an animal soul that went into him. That's all nice and fine and dandy, but he was a human being. You can walk on four, and you can be possessed by an animal soul, but you are a human. So he says the same thing over here. So Gam Kishisnai Kamei Behema Mamish. Even when a human will conduct himself like an actual animal, he's still a human. Mikom, okay? But nevertheless, he'll still be in the category of a medaber, of a human. So is also true regarding the other domains. An animal, no way, shape, or form that an animal can become a vegetative. And even in the animal kingdom itself, an ox will never become a chamor. The word mimkolshkein is in abbreviation in bold. So too, and even much more, Yisrael regarding a Jew. Since Yidna are of a different category, with a different soul, i.e. the godly soul, the neshama, whoever comes from the Jewish people, will always remain in this category, jump up and down, backwards and forwards, dip in the water, eat, go to all the religious Christian nonsense, and you're still a Yid. You're still a Yid. Because by a Yid, there's always concealed the nefesh elikis, the godly soul, that's attached to God, and desires to fulfill his mitzvahs. Not only does he have concealed within himself the godly soul, he muhusei ha'ikri. His nefesh elikis is his essence, his primary essence. Until to the point that even his physical life, in truth and in pnimius, it comes from nefesh elikis, like I said before. Fourth paragraph, third paragraph. Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
So just to go back for a second. So the whole issue about a rabbinic conversion, versus a mumma and so forth, he's still a Jew, but the rabbinic conversion is like a technicality.
Yes. In other words, the rabbinic conversion is to get rid of all the schmutz that he has on his clothing.
But his essence is neshama.
A yid. It doesn't mean to say you're allowed to give him aliyah. You're probably not allowed to give him an aliyah.
Right. Okay, but that people play around with. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into it, but technically there's certain things you're not allowed. But it doesn't mean he's not a yid. Right. But for example, that not giving an aliyah, is that in the same status, so to speak? Let's say a person who's a get refuser, right? Let's say we'd say you might be in a situation. Don't give him an aliyah.
You have to ask a Rav. I would say no. I would answer no to that question, but you have your Rabbanim, and I would say no. If you're asking me, halachically, in other words, a get refuser, I believe, even if they're kind of stretching the law to say it is. That I'm telling you what I think. I didn't study it, so the answer is I don't know. But this idea of a mummer, this is in halacha. This is not rabbis today having to come up with what are we going to do with gays and lesbians and transgenders. That's already all new stuff. And I'm not, I'm saying there are Rabbanim that study this and they take achrayas. But this issue of Yisrael Mummer, this is like basic. It precedes all the Mishakas of today, you understand?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. V'dover zeh, hu leirak rayin shebesif chassidus, Rabbi Yehuda wants to emphasize, and he does, this isn't just an idea that's brought in Chassidus. Asher gam zeh maspik, he says really that it's adequate, really. He called Mashatam Levasel Chadash, whatever a future student will come up with a chidush, Nitel Moshe Messiah was given to Moshe on Sinai. So if it says it in Chassidus, it's part of Torah. But he says, even if you don't want to accept that, you don't like that type of a Torah, Elishahu Mefurish Gamba Halacha in bold. Rabbi Yoel says this idea is clearly in Halacha, what you just asked me about Moshe. Shadidin Mefurish Be'evana Ezer, here it is, Moshe. You got a citation, you can take it out and look it up. Especially now that you're in yeshiva. You got a day in yeshiva to do this. It says in Evan Ezer, Siman Mem Dalet, chapter 44, Sif Tes, paragraph 9, Shekidushay Mummer and Kedushim Gemurim. Wow. When a mummer, when someone who's a rebellious Jew, i.e., someone who converted, etc., he decides to give a sacrifice to the Beis Hamikdash, and he says, "This animal that I have in my backyard, it should be for the Beis Hamikdash." He says the psak in Evan Ezer it's Kiddushin Gemumer. Sorry, I take that back. Why did I say that? Sorry, terrible. Not an animal, Kiddushin, marriage. About marriage. A mummer is under the chuppah. Okay? He's getting married. And he says to the kala, Harei at mukadeshes li. Is that considered a kedushin? That's what he says in Evan Ezer. Right away I knew it's the wrong type of... Evan Ezer is not the laws of sacrifice. Evan Ezer is the laws of marriage and divorce. So it says in Evan Ezer, in Shulchan Aruch, where it speaks about the laws, that the Kiddushin of a mummer is Kiddushin Gmurim, complete Kiddushin. 1 second, Moshe. Vafilu Zaroi, Shahelik, Mishahemer, Kiddushin, Mishahemer, and even the children that are born from him while he's still a mummer, Kiddushav Kiddushin, his Kiddushin is good. So Rabbi Yoel now says, Hari Mefurish, it's a clear din in Shulchan Aruch, Shu Yehudi. That's the reason. Because Lepoyel, it was a Jew who gave another Jew the chuppah. It says, Harei at mukadeshes li, I want you as my wife. So that's the word. He's a Yehudi Shemumer. Yisrael Shemumer. Well, the in Kedushin who get the Kedusha, Rabbi Yoel says, when we talk about Kedushin, Kedushin is the concept of Kadosh, holiness. V'im kain, gam mumer yesh le Kedusha. That's a very deep point. This isn't just a, some jerk giving Kedushin. This is a Yid who has Kedusha. That means that even a mummer has Kedusha. It's such an interesting halacha, and the way he explains it here, because on one hand, Hillel, we say you need a hatafas dam bris, and you need a rabbinic conversion, and you can't get an aliyah till then, on and on and on, whatever, right? At the same time, we say that Kedusha of Kedushin. What's the Shulchan Aruch paskening, Rabbi Yoel says? Because he's shayach to Kedusha. He has Kedusha. And if he has Kedusha, he can do Kedushin. What do you say about that? Isn't that a phenomenal halacha?
Are there any situations, Rabbi Dalton, is there ever any situation where a Jew, let's say, would do something God forbid, and he would not be considered to be a Jew? He would lose, No. A kohen, for example, that Moshe Feinstein writes this, a kohen who wants to renounce his kahuna
technically can, but a Jew cannot renounce his Judaism. You hear the difference? Kahuna doesn't equal Yehudi. Kahuna is an aspect of Yehudi.
Well, we see obviously there are halachas that if a Kohen does, he marries a certain type of woman, etc., he loses.
Right, he loses. That's right. So I had such a situation. I had a situation in Marin County. Someone came. He was jogging 8 miles from Navarro. It's next to we lived in Simcha Raphael. Every Shabbos, great. And he tells me he's a Kohen and he wants to duchen. Well, I later found out that he was living with a non-Jew or married to a non-Jew. I said, "You're a wonderful guy, and I appreciate you doing, but I'm bound by halacha. I can't give you an aliyah, and you can't be called to the Torah. You can't do the kahuna." And he got upset. So he said, "What can I do? I want to give it up." So I said, "I'll check." It was a very. I think I wrote to one of the rabbonim here. It was a very complicated halacha. In other words, you you just can say, "I want to give up kahuna." It doesn't work that way. These are very, very serious halachic questions, and you need not just a rav of a shul. You need a rav who's a posek in these halachas, and few know it and take it. And Moshe was one that did. So these are complicated questions. But from my little knowledge in the field is that a Jew can never lose his Judaism halachically. Halachically meaning that he's not a Jew. And whereas a Kohen can lose his kahuna status. Okay, Chevra, we'll continue tomorrow.
Sorry,
yes,
the
Moshe. Yes.
The neshama is created. Hashem creates the neshama, Yiddish neshama, and that's done.
That's right. That's what we're learning. You got to get a text. We have to get Moshe made a text if you're going to come every day, because you got to follow the text. We're learning exactly that, but it's not just
One more.
Yes.
One more.
Yes. Yeah. One more.
Okay, so
Got one more.
so you're
left.
saying okay. So you're saying that even if a Jew buys retail, he doesn't lose his sorry.
Right. Have a great day. We want to see you on tomorrow. Zeit gesund. Have a great day. Bye bye.